What's up, guys? How's it going? Can everybody hear me? Hello. 76 people have joined. Good to see. Good to see. Well, today's topic is just current market updates and some more like strategy talk with my friend Pax over here. And I don't know if you like people who have just like recently joined probably don't know about PAX if they only follow me. PAX is like part of the OG group from back in 2021 and 2020. He's like one of the guys who like founded like Chroma. We had a very like niche group back in the day of like a few traders, 10 or 15 of us, and pretty much everybody from that group has like a lot of followers these days or are like pretty good traders. That was sort of like an OG group back in the days. It was called like PA Kings, Treasy, Flawless, and a bunch of like other people were part of that group as well. Nice to see guys from Aero as well. Good to see. Pax, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Can the chat hear Pax? What's up, Pax? How's it going?
Doing well, bro. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat markets, CT stuff.
Yeah,
Shout out to PA Kings, Flawless, Trizzy,
yeah,
Delta, Anchi, everybody from the old days.
yeah.
Excited to chat markets.
Good to know. Good to hear. Well, let's just take a quick look at the BDC chart here at the moment. How's it looking like for everybody right now? Before we take a look at the lower time frame, let's just go real quick over what's going on the hard time frame, and we can like get an understanding of what's really going on. Like I told you guys, like I think I did like a Twitch stream while price was around here, like 9 October, like 2 3 days before my birthday, I remember. And I was pretty sure, like, if we start to get like a volatile move just like this, 10k new candle down, we're just gonna insufferably chop for weeks and weeks, and everybody's gonna be like tired of that range, which is like something that's like already playing out. Let's see how long this has been going on. This has already been going on for like 18 days, probably extended all the way to like another. Let me just like mark it out, like another 47, 30 days, unless and until we like break out of either of these like values, and these values are acting as like support below here and acting as like resistance below here. So we're just like rotating within like two mean positions right here, and price is likely to just sort of rotate from the premium of the range all the way down to the discount, and we're just gonna like giga chop for eternity until we eventually like break out from either of these PIs, which is like playing out very well because whenever this sort of like nuke happens, and a lot of traders that have just joined have never experienced this sort of move, because this is a very big move. This is not something that happens every day or every month. This happens like a year or like in 2 years. Very decent, nice move down here. Like whenever this sort of move happens, a lot of people are like confused because they have no idea how to execute, because it just looks like one straight line down. And the only way to be able to like execute based off of this is either you expect and you look at the price to retrace pretty much everything within like 72 hours time frame. If it does not do that, which if I like mark it out, how much was the 72-hour time frame? I think it was just like it was just like this like 3 days. If we were to like rotate all the way back to like new highs 140k, we should have like retraced like the initiation of this new candle right here. But since we did not do that, because that was a very big move, we were likely to fall into the other aspect of the other result of this like sort of nuke that was just mega range for like eternity until it like breaks down. Usually those ranges go for, they can go for like even months. Like this range here, it went on for like 58 days. This one here, it went on for, it didn't went on for like quite long. This one went on for like 40 days. But the range from like 80k, that was like very insufferable. That went on for like 100 days. That's almost like half a year, and this could happen here as well. If you take a look at the prior PA on BDC, there's a lot of like places where the ranges go for like 246 days. That is an insane amount of days for BDC to just be ranging. That is like usual 2024 price section, which also occurred after like a sort of liquidity sweep happened, and then prices started to rotate from that mean of a candle nuke, right? And this sort of like nuke happens like pretty much all the time. If you go all the way back to like 2021, the OG days, if you can see, this is like the sort of nuke structure that happened. There was an initiation of the nuke, and that nuke range, let price range for like, I think 72 days. This is like very common, and if don't be upset if you like get chopped out here. It's okay. You can move on to like other alts. You can move on to like Solana. You can move on to these coins because they have a lot more liquidity, lot more development to trade. Like look at this. There's like very clean structure that you can long. Even right here, there's like clear momentum to be aping into longs. Right here, if it rejects, then that could be a short as well. And the fact and the profitable thing about alts is that they are moving much better in terms of like percentile ratio compared to BTC. BTC is like moving. Let me just mark it out. It's like moving not so much, like 0.5%, 0.4%. That's not the best sort of like trade that you will get out of BTC if you're looking to trade intraday. And that's what I'm looking for in terms of like higher time frame on the BTC. Pax, what do you think about the hard time frame for BTC? Do you have any sort of like bias to it? Likely break down or break up? Is there any sort of like emotions attached to the chart, or just trading the support and resistance?
Oh, I'm kind of like you. I'm waiting. I expected chop after such a big move. Like you said, we either V-shape it very quickly, or we just insufferable chop. So I've told my guys and people around me, like just trade LTF, trade the chop if you're good at that. I'm traveling around a lot. Not really keen to trade too much chop. I've
You've
taken maybe three trades in the last few weeks, but they've
you've
been good enough.
Yeah, you've been like training for like 2020, 21, right? And you've had like past experience with ranges and just like proper nukes like this. How do you like deal with those? And
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
what have you learned from like prior that you would like try not to do here? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, you don't want to jump in too quickly to positioning unless you're really cracked. There were some people who caught those bottoms really well. I like to wait for the ranges to form and then just play the ranges. These are once in every few year events that we saw, maybe once a year, maybe at this point, but black swan type things. So you don't need to rush into positioning, kind of let the market show its way. I'm personally waiting for a break above kind of like 117, 118 consolidation for
One,
longs, basically like above 118.
yeah, somewhere around here. That's supposed to be like the a Fiji that's not really filled into price yet, and I'm looking for a similar grind up. You trade a lot of PA, right? What's like this sort of like FVG? Why is this like of so importance? Like, is it because like it uh confluences with the value? Is it something that you look at very often?
Yeah, so I like to trade at just imbalances and liquidity, and then just basic ranges and values, right? So it's value area high, and then the origin of that dump. So it was inefficient price action on the nuke, and I like to see inefficiencies get filled. I think that's pretty similar to what you trade, like single prints or inefficient price action, right?
Yeah,
Um, so along with that, we had some equal highs. They're already taken at 116, but that was like a pretty clear, place to look for a reaction. We got a clean one, but I swing a lot more nowadays, high time frames. So I'm a bit
what's a
kind of
possible swing that you would look for here? By the way, you can draw on my chart.
yeah, perfect. Let me see how this goes. Um, Yeah, so basically it's basically above your POI for shorts. But if we start grinding up by these highs right here, very choppy highs, and then break above, like that's pretty clear for me. I want to run that. That being said, I'm pretty open to a reaction here, which we've already seen one. But if we get another push above and then down, that's a clear slam, like right there.
Yeah, that's true.
And then overall for swings, uh, beyond that, if we break down like 105, I can't really chart it on your chart, but I have a high time frame range kind of going from 109 to 89K. So if we deviate back into that range,
Oh, 109
you
to like
know,
89K. Like if you just like
yeah.
draw sort of
So
like a higher
basically,
time
yeah,
frame
that's
range.
perfect. That's perfect. So it's
How
basically
do
like
you
this. This old range, this was a deviation. I'm
right?
looking at this being a deviation potentially, but we would need some PA back in the range to be able to target lower. So this is something I'm
True.
looking at for a swing. Other than that, it's just long bias until. So I don't see a reason to
Yeah,
force
that's
like
a
a short when we're just cleanly, we reclaim the old value,
yeah.
reclaim the old range here too. Hold up, let me clear. So yeah, I have this range drawn right here on mine.
Let me just
There's
like
no reason to
mark it
force
out.
shorts. Yeah, perfect. So there's no reason to like force shorts, right, when we are still outside of range, forming new value up here.
True.
That being said, if we reclaim this, it's like, you know, that's something I'm very open to playing. There's some inefficiencies here.
Oh,
Just seeing this as a double deviation,
that's pretty
but I'm
cool.
not, I'm not too sold on the top personally yet, especially with this kind of formation. So if we accumulate below these highs, I think a lot of people will be trying to short a top, and it's like, all right, let's clean that up, get one good push. But you don't need to predict too much the future. So I'm just kind
Yeah.
of playing level to level while we're in this chop, right? I think I had one short on CPI. I've taken one long pretty recently, just a quick scalp here to up here. Like I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, what
Other
do you
than
think
that,
about like the bias that like CT has on like these sort of nukes? And I see a lot of people like half of like it's like 20% of traders are like they're playing level to level. The rest are like half and half combined. Like okay, you got to be like bullish here, you got to be like bearish here. What do you think about like people that are just like trading based off of like that's not levels, but they're like very biased towards one direction and they believe it's likely to break? Because we have seen this like over and over and over again from all the way from 2021, 22, all the way to like 25. How do those like the traders like develop? Because I remember there were a few guys like trader, I don't even remember those guys' name. They were like very biased and they like accumulate so many followers from their bias because like a lot of people are like usually stuck in sort of positions. Let's just say this is a sort of a short, like a nuke that happened. A lot of people would be like long here, and they would be just looking for any sort of hopes that they can get. And any just maxable posting will like accumulate so many followers. Then like eventually price doesn't go into their way or direction, and then pretty much all of their followers are liquidated, and those guys just like die out. Is it like something that you observe as well?
yeah, I mean, I don't keep up with CT way too much, to be honest. I keep my feed pretty clean, but yeah, I mean, there's always going to be people engagement baiting and bull posting nonstop, especially after a nuke. It's really cool to say you've caught the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So there's always going to be people claiming
Yeah,
that
it's very
until it's not the
yeah,
bottom.
it's very
Same goes for
cool.
the top.
Yeah, it's very cool to say that you
Um,
caught the top, you've caught the bottom, but like those guys are the ones that have been like bearish from here. They're like tried catching the top here as well, but like that sort of like PA and that sort of like mentality really pollutes the mindsets of the new people in my opinion. And I guess like that's pretty wrong because I know like half of the people watching are probably new. They've like joined after like 23, 25. Let's just get a bias like for the guys watching, can you just comment what year you joined like CT or like just trading overall, crypto Twitter in like 21 or 25? Capo and Mins do the inverse trade.
and I feel like CT has changed a lot over the years, right? Since kind
It,
of we
yeah,
came in, it was
yeah,
very.
it has matured a lot. You're so right because in 2021, I still remember like even I used to have like comments. Everybody used to have comments that you were wrong. You're not supposed to trade level to level. You gotta be like biased. If you're not biased enough, you don't have balls. You don't have like steel balls. You're not doing enough. And then eventually, I think a lot of the biased people just got filtered out, just like got trolled and pushed out. And I do believe that the market itself is maturing, and so are the people along with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just a natural upward progression. That goes with any sort of new sector, right? The learning curve goes up and up with, you see in video games, markets, whatever. People catch up to the meta and, it's like a race to the top over time.
Yeah.
And then that being said too, like old CT, I feel like was a little more learning based, and now it's a little more engagement based. So people are
True,
gonna
very
kind of
true.
like
Yeah,
make those
there's
strides.
apparently there's more
A
people.
smaller community back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. CT back then was like very, very inspirational and educational. Everybody was posting like, I remember even I was posting like educational threads pretty much every single week. How I executed this trade. There was just like a bunch of threads that all of my friends were posting as well, and all of that was like related to education and overall inspiration. I don't. See, it's very rare to see that sort of post anymore, and like it's just like I think it's died out because don't people maybe people don't appreciate it much, or it's mainly because everybody found it to be a way of like making money and everybody like charges stuff for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Copy paste and saturating educational stuff.
Very
People kind of
true.
have stolen some of the old, the OG education
Very
type
true.
stuff, but
It's
that
just
doesn't
it's
matter
just
for our
yeah, it just
trading.
yeah, it
It's
just
been interesting to see.
yeah, it's just recycling. Even a lot of my content is just like being reposted, even yours as well. If you remember like PA Kings, you remember like did you see what happened to like Tyler?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
tragic,
that was very
tragic.
unfortunate. Tyler was one of the like few OG guys in our groups as well that used to have those very sort of clean chart educational content that even I got inspired from, and a lot of my friends I know as well. It's very tragic to see like what happened to him. I'm still not sure of like the depth of how that happened, but so tragic to see like him going out so young. But I guess like that sort of like toll you get to take when you're mentally in a position. Probably he like messed up in some trade or somehow some funds, but that's part of like trading. But it's very tragic to see like one of the OG traders and educational inspiration just go out like that.
Yeah, that was tough to see. I'm not really one to speculate on anybody's mind state, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But he was an OG. I personally learned a lot from him with his price action teachings.
Yeah, so did I. One of
And
the like I was talking about like one of the very clean charts initially, because like I remember like everybody used to put effort into their education content as well. Nobody was like a copy and paste back then. Everybody was like creating, their own sort of aesthetics. If you like remember, like Tyler had different stuff, Paulis had different, I had different, and everybody was like willing to put in the effort because I believe like most traders back then, even us, were pretty much in our learning curve as well. So we just like wanted it to stick with our personalities as well, which is something that is not very vocal anymore. It's like more people are here for like faster money, and the more the internet gets like diluted into minds, and the more reels like take over. I feel like it's just more people copy pasting, getting into gambling, sort of looking for a quick way, for a few bucks.
yeah, 100%. And that's the majority, but those aren't who stick around. The people who are here for quick money. It's more the people who are here to attain a skill, learn things like that. Um, And yeah, it also just goes to show like trading's not, social media wants you to think trading's all fun and games, but I mean it's a test, bro. It tests you on many angles mentally, um, self-belief, financially even. So it's not a game, bro. Social media wants you to think it's all fun and games and fancy cars and flashy
Rainbows and
stuff, but
sunshines. Yeah.
yeah, that's not, the reality is, especially on the come up, I don't know about you, but 12-hour days, skipping Friday nights to study charts and
Yeah.
trade, hearing people doubt you, things like that. But
Yeah.
if you stay with it for a while, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Very, very. I guess, like I would like to believe that like short form content mainly had the bad sort of effect on traders and overall like the minds of people, that like everything should be done like fast, just dopamine rushes overall. Everybody's like, I would like to believe like everybody's like a victim of that, and like it's become so common that people are just here to like make a quick buck. I mean, it was common back in the day as well, but it wasn't so forced. Like people were willing to learn and spend their times. I remember like Char making notes like 14 hours a day back in the day, and when we had like this sort of there for the people that don't know, me, Pax, and Fallis, and a lot of like us traders had like a sort of a Discord group. I think it was 15 or 20 people back in the day, and we were like chatting, sharing trades pretty much every day. Asha was there, V was there. There was a lot of people that were in the Discord group back then, and that was probably in like 2022. And everybody from that group became successful. They have a lot of followers these days. They have a lot of like money these days. They are like pretty good traders, doing very well for themselves. Tyler was one of them. Very unfortunate. Our rest in peace. Like those sort of communities had like this sort of influx, this sort of interest in need of like learning more than there was like need for like making money. That is something like very rare these days, which is like if you go to Twitter right now, there's more P&L posting, there's more engagement on P&Ls, and more there's more engagement on like giveaways. There's barely any engagement on like education content. Even if there is, it's very selective few. And there's barely any engagement on like threads. Threads would used to be so popular on Twitter back in the day, but everybody was like just posting their thoughts into one tweet and then replying to that thought again and again, and that would become like very popular. But most of that just like died out, which is very sad to see. But there's still a lot of like real people out there still, which I guess like you would have to filter out if you like just join CT, and it's very hard to do so. Like if you just like come into like trading as a guy who's probably working in finance, how the fuck would you know like a guy named Shinigami XPT or PAX? It's just like they don't even give the sort of like impression of somebody that's like trading. It's more like anime names, random bunch names, right? So it's very hard to find out like actual traders. Even in Silico, it's like a private account. How would you even know that in Silico is like a sort of a very goated trader? So it becomes very hard for the newer person to get into the right hands, and they just like immediately divert to like short-term gambling, and then pretty much lose all the money, and then that sort of learning curves eventually takes so long, which is something very ironic. I feel like it should be worked upon.
100%. And it's a lot of it is like, KOL meta, engagement meta, kind of like we've talked about, right? It's people joining CT just now will see, XRP,
Yeah, Lucius said
XLM.
is canon even to get liquidated at least once. Yeah, 100% agree.
At least, bro, at least maybe 2 to 3 times, and
Yeah,
then you're like
I've been
battle
liquidated. Yeah,
scarred.
I've been liquidated like 4 to 5 times myself. After that, I don't remember being liquidated. I'm pretty sure I'd like managed risk. The first money I lost was like my brother's. It was not even mine. The second money I lost was my uncle's. It was not even mine. The third money I think was mine, and the fourth time was also mine. I like endured like a big loss on a nuke like this. I don't remember when that was, but it was on some altcoin. And after that, I did not get liquidated. I had like a very proper risk management from there on.
Yeah, I mean, that'll teach you. Let's go into that really quick. I think that's an interesting topic. A lot of people don't touch on, right? People like to share their wins, but their losses. So, I made a tweet recently that, some of my biggest liquidations were my biggest, changes to my learning curve. That's where I actually learned to lock in, learn risk management, learn how to trade even.
Yeah.
Specifically, yeah, what time of year was your biggest loss in terms of trading? Was it 2021 back in that? I think it was like a May or April nuke. 2022 around the same time too. And I'm sure some people got wrecked on this recent nuke who are kind of evaluating,
Yeah.
is this for me? How
The,
do I recover?
yeah,
Stuff like that.
I know like two of my own friends. They were pretty much in longs here, in spot. And I know one guy that was in spot, and I know one guy that was just in perps. I had no idea they were in these positions, right? When this sort of like nuke happened, I came back to the chart and I did like a quick VC right that day. And they were like, okay, I'm down like 300K on spot. I'm like, okay, if you are holding spot on altcoins, it's gonna recover. That's okay. That guy got saved. He got out for like minus 10, 20%. But the guy on perps, he got liquidated for like minus 700k, and that's a very huge amount. People, I think, underestimate 100k, six figures or seven figures, which is a huge amount. And now that guy has barely like 20, 30k left, and he doesn't understand what to do. And the only way you can like move on forward from that is just don't quit, because this is a one of one in a year sort of event, and it's not like it's gonna happen like every other day. And if you like get to learn from it and do like proper risk management, you're not gonna be losing like a big money. Losing like 10k, if you have a 100k portfolio, losing 40%, 50%, a worst case scenario is understandable. But losing like 80, 90, or even 95% is like when you have those sort of suicidal thoughts that you would want to give up. But if you recover from that, and nor me nor anybody can help you with that, it's sort of a mental recovery that you have to do yourself. And once you're able to like overcome that, you're pretty much like unstoppable from there.
Exactly. And then you learn how to actually lock in and not prevent that next time, right? It's like you know, I'm not going to put all my margin in one account. I'm not going to put all of my money at risk, you know. But I like to always think, if the market goes to zero tomorrow, will I have anything left,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you always got to cover your bases, separate exchanges, wallets, etc. Keep some USDC spare. But you only learn that through events like this, right?
yeah.
And that's
And
that's
yeah,
really
yeah,
how you
and
get
definitely don't
forged.
keep your money on custodial wallets, because I have a lot of fun stuck on those, and I got hacked on those as well. Like, I do have like pretty much like nice other accounts as well, but definitely don't trust custodial wallets too much. Use cold wallets for holding on to your money, or just buy like some IRL stuff like gold or some stocks and bonds. I guess that would help you like give yourself a cushion in case like a worse scenario happens eventually. Because if you have not gone through like the worst, it is likely to come to you at some part in life. There's just ups and downs. I thought myself to be like a very good trader. I've never endured any sort of losses. I was like, okay, I can keep like millions of dollars on an exchange, hundreds of Ks. And then eventually I got like disputed, and I got like hacked. I lost a lot of money. I thought I was like sort of like an unstoppable guy, just doing great in life all the time. But then eventually all of that stuff just comes falling apart whenever maybe somebody envies you, or something happens to you. Whenever you feel like you're doing like good, you're doing great, and nobody can stop you, is exactly when you're being stopped. Like, it's something to watch out for. Nobody's like unstoppable, or nobody's like invincible to anything. And I guess like if you can like overcome that sort of understanding and probably manage your risk, you would be doing much better. I was actually doing very well in risk management all the way to like 2025. But then, as you can see from my posts on Twitter, I was doing a lot of stuff, flying planes, doing this and that. And eventually I was like, okay, I'm the GOAT. I'm like doing this as well. I'm making money on trades as well. I'm barely losing any sort of trades. Then eventually, boom, I got like hit with a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I'm like recovering from all that, still doing pretty good. But if it comes to fall, it's like it's all gonna fall apart right away, real quick, and you're gonna have no understanding of like what went wrong. So definitely be like risk aware all the time. That's a very important lesson that I had to learn, very with a very expensive lesson. Let's just take a look at the chat real quick. Luna, people
Give
lost
me
a
just a
yeah,
second. Give me just a
people lost a lot of money in Luna, FTX, and a lot of those events. I think it's
Yeah.
because
Luna was one that wrecked me really hard. It taught me to not be. I was
what?
basically all in on the. There was like Mirror Protocol. It was a stock platform.
Oh yeah, I
I was
remember
yield
that.
farming UST as well, and I was doing some arbs on UST.
UST,
Uh,
holy shit,
yeah, Terra, bro.
that
Basically,
was
I woke up.
insane.
I think I tweeted about it recently, but I woke up from a call from one of my friends. Shout out to Bindi. He called me at 6 a.m. when Luna went to zero and UST went to zero, and he was like, "Bro, you have no money left." That was one of the craziest wake up calls to get. But again, that's what taught me. You know, you don't go all in on one thing, one idea, one platform. Separate your risk, spread it
Yeah,
around, or the market will manage your risk for you, right?
yeah. As long as you don't give up, there's likely going to be an opportunity that's gonna just run you back up to where you were and eventually even higher. There's a guy in my Discord, Solom. I think everybody knows him here, and Solom like lost a lot of money. I think he lost somewhere here. He lost a lot of money on this like perpetual account. He went from like a lot of money to all the way to like barely 2 3K left for his expenses, and then he like sort of like went out and did a job, and eventually around here he had some money to trade, and he just like full ported sort of a some altcoin shorts, and then he made like 6 figures or more from just like that one like day, and now he's like back up and running and hoping to like run it back up to like 7 figures now, which is like very common. Like if you just don't give up, there's likely going to be an opportunity. As long as you stay true to your skill, you're likely going to end up leading yourself to an opportunity. One more thing, like people do talk about like all the time, and there's a comment on this. I think it's because 95% of CT has lost money this cycle because they were all in alts when massive underperforming to BTC. What do you think about alt season that we've been hearing for like what, 22 2023?
Yeah, I definitely have some thoughts on that, right? So people are saying win alt season, etc. While we've had the market diluted by, people are charting what total two, which is only like 200 alts versus BTC and ETH.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've
Yeah,
had
that's
shit
very,
coins run to 100 mil market cap on the daily last year. We've had random, things do 10x's overnight.
yeah,
We've already had an alt season in the memes and a lot of the new runners. It's just not the ones that are charted against total two.
yeah.
Um, I think people are just kind of jaded with that, right? Thinking everything can go
Just
up at every
coping,
time.
yeah.
But it's been more of a game of musical chairs, and it's not, you can't just PvE alt season at this point, especially with how many coins get launched and how diluted the market is. There's a million L1s, 100 different stable coins, 50 different perp dexes,
Yeah.
and then another million meme coins for people's money to go to. So, alt season's been happening. It just depends where you're looking, right?
Yeah.
People are
It's
just
more
holding dino wallets.
like you said, like it's become more mature. You have to be a good trader, you have to be a good analyzer to be able to trade that sort of coins. It's not like you can just get into any sort of coins and it's gonna run up. That's like bullshit, because like markets have like matured quite enough, and the fate of like most altcoins is just that spiral. They eventually like make an all-time high, very huge all-time high, and in my opinion, what really happens, like you take a look at BTC like chopping or moving a bit higher, then there's suddenly an altcoin that's run up from very low market cap all the way up to some high market cap, and now everybody's like vocal about that coin, and everybody's basically trading that coin. That coin is pretty much getting listed on exchanges, and it pops up, and then it forms like a sort of high, eventually peaking FOMO, and after that high it just like starts to like make more lower highs and never gets back to that sort of all-time high. And then what happens, like eventually like falls into a sort of spiral, which looks something like this, and then eventually like dies out, because altcoins are never the focus on the crypto market, just the majors are. So if you're not able to like get onto this hype, it's it's okay to trade within here, but you're likely to end up getting chopped or waiting for the trade to play out on a very long time frame, and your money is not there, and your money is like not free money, because like I'm assuming if you have not like 8 figures, then it's not like you can be investing like 100K in this coin and be risk free for like another year, because these coins may move, like they have a baseline where there's just like set down and accumulate for, and then eventually like do these sort of pop-ups. If you just like ape your money into it, it's probably gonna play out in like a week, or probably plays out in like 8 months or 2 years, but you don't have that sort of money to just like give out and let it sit out. So your best bet is to just like ape on vocal coins that everybody's talking about. There's a lot of like open interest on those, volatility on those, and eventually just exit out peak FOMO. That's the only way you can like trade these sort of coins. And the fact like people don't understand that the total or the total two chart does not represent all sort of altcoins is still such a, I don't even have words for it, very retarded idea that is being pushed upon like newer people. And I guess like the only way to like really trade altcoins, even from the last year, I believe, like from the last 2 years even, is just to hop on the vocal coins. Even for I think this is gonna continue for quite some time until the market has become a bit more mature. It should just hop onto like vocal coins like Trump, then eventually they like pop off to like peak FOMO, and then they just start chopping. They never get back to their all time high ever, and it's just lower highs until it breaks down lower.
Yeah, agreed. And then another point, with people holding old altcoins like last cycle, 2 cycles, they look at the price charts, but they don't look at the market cap charts. They don't realize like half of those altcoins are very inflationary, so price could stay the same, but if they're printing, if they printed double the tokens within the last 3 years, the market cap's already doubled at that point. So technically it's valued higher even though the price is the same. It just goes back to, I guess, people being retarded
Yeah.
in general,
Pax, I
and
have a very
people
nice
disinvest
question
in
in
them.
the chat. Like it's a Shini, do you think it's better to move to Forex in these chop periods? Do you think it's like better to just like move to Forex while like price just chopping everybody out? Do you trade Forex?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past. I like to move to where conditions are good. That being said, go to the Euro daily chart. It's in the same sort of chop as Bitcoin, even worse, frankly. So that has no validity right now to me. But I do think it's fair to hop to where conditions fit your trading, right? If you like to trade volatility, and you remember maybe 2 years ago, Bitcoin was stuck in a $600 range down in the 20Ks or something for months and months. If that's not the type of stuff you trade, then yeah, go find a trending market. As long as the PA makes sense and it fits your style, it's fair to jump to where conditions support your trading.
What
Um,
I recommend people, by the way, for now I don't see any sort of trades. I was hoping that we could, this is a POI that I have. I was hoping that we just like pop up to some slow grind. Also, there's like FOMC. If anybody can tell me if FOMC is already played out, I was hoping like FOMC we get a spike down, and then spike up, and then eventually nuke down to like my lower POI, and then just start popping off. Because this is just rotations from range high to range low. So this is how it's likely, I believe it to like play out. Go to range low, then like pop up from there again, and just like compress. Compression is what is we are looking at. It's just key to a proper range. Yeah, going on. What were you talking about, Pax?
oh, at this point, I already forgot, bro. I'm retarded
Okay,
too.
yeah, I was gonna
What were we
say,
talking
yeah,
about?
we were talking about like Forex, right? So for
Oh
people who
yeah.
who like are not like able to trade, because like I remember some guys just take looking at this chart, and by this time it's pretty much the same price. Maybe you long here, then you get stop break even. Maybe you did manage to take like 1 hour here or like 2 hour here. It's just not worth it to be wasting your time where volatility just like stops you out. Because if you have gotten into a long and this is supposed to be like a slow grind, it shouldn't really come back to the level, and it should continue on with the momentum. And that's when you realize, okay, the price is potential to go much further, so you just like keep trading that. If that sort of PA is not happening, and I have like time sessions for that. If the first session is like Asia, then the second is like London, then the next is like New York session, and after New York it's like just a pre-close session, right? What you can do is like trade BDC and crypto altcoins in Asia session. Usually there's volatile moves like this as well, or you can trade like New York session. New York session open has quite some decent scammy moves going on, so you would get like sort of a volatile move in those. Or you can trade pre-close, but pre-close is very conditional. Sometimes pre-close happens to have like moves like this all the time, and if you get to see like a move happening like this in pre-close, let's just say it's October 1st, and I saw that this sort of move happened in the pre-close session when the forex markets are closed, it's likely that I will be trading the pre-close session for the next 2 or 3 weeks, because that is where the sort of like market makers and the volatility is going on. And then eventually the pre-close session like dies out and basically does nothing. So there's like it's a conditional session. Sometimes it's like popping up like crazy or nuking down like crazy, and sometimes it's barely doing anything. Otherwise, I recommend like New York Open or Asia. And for London session, I recommend just hop on to Forex, probably gold, because London session is basically just major chop all the time. What do you think about the sessions, PAX?
Oh, I used to be big into sessions. Now that we've had ETFs and CME has taken a lot more volume. I've seen so many trading opportunities in New York and Asia specifically, just like you said. I don't pay too much attention scalping wise, I don't scalp as much nowadays, so I'm not like session by session. I used to literally live on the sessions. But basically seem the same. And you can even zoom in a little bit on this PA right here. We just saw it on New York Open. I'm pretty sure right on New York Open, we rated this high right here and then ran down clean little scalp if you wanted to those lows. So, New York Open nowadays is basically guaranteed volatility one way or
Yeah.
another for a quick scalp. And then I want to ask you, because you brought up pre-sessions, do you follow CME at all? CME Bitcoin.
No, I
That's like a big thing in my trading. But I'm not
I
sure if
I do
you look
have
at it.
I rarely have like CME gaps marked out. Usually when I'm taking a look at the hard time frame and it's just chop, do open like CME to see if there's basically any sort of like gaps open up that I could potentially target as a retrace. That's the only time I use CME. How do you use CME? That's something like people would be interested to know about.
Yeah, I think it's an edge that will go away over time, especially if markets go 24/7, which I presume they will. But no, it's one of my favorite things in trading, like flat opens. You probably see like LH tweet about them a lot. They've become a bit more popular nowadays. But flat opens, can you pull up the CME chart? We had a really clean move on it this week.
I don't
If you
remember.
have it,
I don't remember the ticker. One second.
BTC one exclamation
Oh yeah,
point.
one exclamation.
And then maybe run like a H4, H12
Yeah, there we
daily.
go.
But yeah, so zoom into just literally this week, you see that gap right there.
Right there.
We had a flat open. Zoom
Yeah.
in, zoom in quite a bit on that. So basically, like anytime it opens flat like that, like it's very interesting to play retracements to that. It's not every time, but this time we ran the highs. We had a flat open, lows just below. Very clean scalp opportunity here
Yeah.
to fill this gap. So the CMA gaps are really relevant to me. Those flat opens don't, like it's not the next day they're going to fill, but they're very good scalping opportunities. Basically every Sunday at CME Open, you can probably find a scalp just on the CME.
Right. Would this
It's
be like
really
something you
clean.
look for as well?
Yeah, and you saw
Yeah,
we
we
came
did
back,
feel.
tested it.
Yeah.
It's not every time, but that was something me and some of my guys were looking at. Very clean intraday, those flat opens, as well as divergences between CME and spot, right? We actually saw one last night. Perps ran this low, like right here last night,
Yeah.
and CME didn't. I like to look for divergences like that. Um,
What's
it's
that?
kind of similar.
Yeah. What like it not taking that sort of flow is like more bullish to you, or it's likely to come down, take the low, and then like run back higher?
Yeah, it's more bullish, right? So if perps sweep it, but CME doesn't, it's just a sign of some sort of manipulation one way or another. Kind of similar to you see Bitcoin and ETH diverge as well. You can kind of gather strength or weakness.
Yeah.
So I play those divergences as well as the flat opens and gaps. It's not like 100%, but you just add confluence to your trading with it. I think everybody should look at CME. Honestly, it's once I added that to my trading earlier this year, it really benefited me. Especially that,
Is this something that you look for like pretty much every day, or just take a look at what's the current open? Because the ones that are not filled, I guess those are just speculation for you to expect like okay they are gonna fill, but I guess the ones that are still close to the price still have that sort of gap and momentum to it that price can, because price is pretty close to it. It's likely it can fill it very quick, except for compared to like this one that needs a lot of like gap to cover and then come all the way down to it. So is it something that you look for? Like prior CMEs more? Do you prioritize the current ones way more?
Oh yeah, it's more like an intra-week bias, right? So because we had one down at like 32K unfilled until we hit 70K and then came back and tested it. It's more like a week bias, right? And it's more use it as confluence. So anybody, I had a few people who are looking to short this. You can have a clean TP1 right here just to begin. We open the week with no
Yeah.
low on the week. That's pretty us. Good confluence.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
definitely
something to solely trade off of, like you said, because old ones, like even this, we ran up, 15K points. You don't want to just keep your eyes on this always.
yeah.
That's why other
So
things
so
come into
so
play.
yeah, so do you have a sort of a rule that let's say if it doesn't come back to it or price because if price floats around it for like the next 48 hours, it's probably likely that it fills that within that
Yeah.
week. But if it like price goes boom like crazy differentiation from that price level, I guess that's not valid anymore. Or is it something that's still valid if it's still within that week?
Oh, it's not something I would play too hard. It's kind of like what you said, right? So, you drew it already, but we took those highs and then we left another equal low just above the gap. And it's like at that point, all right, that's really clean context. So that's something you look for.
Right.
Um,
I
yeah, it's
I
mostly intra-week and
yeah,
recent ones. Yeah.
what I call this sort of like concept is like time disparity. The closer any sort of level is surprised, the likely it is to like be executed as compared to one that's prior. Because like there's a lot of factors affecting that sort of price. Like people who have like opened their position here, maybe they're closed by here or by here, so it just becomes invalid by the point like price is here or close to it
Yep.
even. So whenever like price is like close to sort of a PY, it's when it's the most valid. That is a very, very important thing that I look for all the time. Somebody said like CME left equal highs. Where is that supposed to be? CME left equal highs. Maybe this one here. I think he's talking about like this here.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, those have been swept by like, I mean, it was by like a tick, I'm pretty sure, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure those were technically swept. Usually you look for a deeper sweep, but yeah, those were swept on my chart, at least on my CME. Um that being said, if you use, and this actually, yeah, if you use B adjust, maybe not. But I don't use B adjust. You see it in the bottom right, B dash ADJ.
yeah.
But no, I think it's been swept on both. I don't think those are equal highs. It does change the price, and maybe it's been swept, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it's
I don't
different on
go
both.
into that deep of like
That's just gonna confuse you more than it's
yeah,
not,
you don't
right?
need to
Like
be
the more,
worried about
yeah,
that. The more you get into like details and the complexities of it, the more you confuse yourself. Just take a look at the momentum, bro.
less is more for sure,
Yeah.
bro.
Taking a look at the current price. We are when is FOMC by the way? I did not check. I know it's today.
Uh,
Did we already
yeah,
go to
so
FOMC?
no, I'm in a crazy time zone, but it's in like 2 to 4 hours.
4 hours,
I'm
okay.
in, yeah,
Oh, there's a lot of time
some,
to do some crazy shit.
yeah, um, something about that, yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but
How,
I think it's,
how do you trade news? Like, is it something because you mostly solely trade like PA, right? Is news supposed to be like a big factor in it?
yeah, it is. I actually love post news trading, right? So I like to see news deliver opposite to my bias as a manipulation and then kind of fade it in a sense. So if I were bullish, if I wanted those highs to be ran, I would like to see FOMC deliver lower and then kind of fade that um, target higher. I don't really like to predict news ahead of time. I think there's no point to. It's kind of like what we've said, play level to level. But
True.
if you have a clear bias before news and the delivery genuinely or is generally super clean, It injects volatility, and that's what we like to trade, right? It's like how we talked about Asia session, New York. News is essentially its own session in a sense. It injects volatility,
Yeah.
almost guaranteed. So I like to trade post FOMC, post CPI, and post NFP. If I am scalping or looking to position, I like for it to deliver an entry for me and fade it rather than following it.
What do you think about like there's a question in the chat. News are already priced in. Do you think like news are priced in most of the time?
I think in a sense, yeah, right. So a lot of people, I don't keep up with macro too much, to be honest. I like to just stick to technicals. But I think a lot of people are expecting, I think it's a 25, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 25 basis point cut. I think the odds on Polymarket were like 90%, 95. But if anything's so expected like that, the market's already gonna price it in and mark up to the point that of expectation, right? So I think, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
you can't really
usually
trade
25.
based on like if everybody expects 25% basis points and everybody expects that to be bullish, I will generally be like somewhat skeptical. Naturally, the majority are wrong in general, or they will get played one way or another. So,
Yeah, even though it's like pricing, the one thing that like really bothers me is like just the way it, like formulates a PA. It's likely going to that sort of like level, whatever it is, but there's a lot of like bullshit that's going on before it goes to that sort of level. So that's where you want to avoid being like just chopped and cut off. So I guess like you can skip out on like 30 minutes before the news and like 30 minutes post the news, and then after that there's some clarification. Okay, the injection of the volatility is done, and I guess like there's some clear momentum of bid or ask that's hitting the market now, and then you can like try to position. That's why I just like
yeah,
always just skip out on news and then wait for like 30 minutes later, and then there's some clarification, and boom, I just like hop onto some trade.
yeah, 100%. We see a lot just before FOMC. It's like either chop or just grinds up into or not just FOMC, but any red folder. It's either like super chop or just a twop one way.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't really need to be involved until the news event because it's going to be volatile. It's going to whipsaw around. Why would you scalp 10 minutes before FOMC when it makes a pretty solid move both
Yeah.
ways? You're
And I
just
don't
kind of asking to get caught in the crossfire.
and I don't get people that are not trading like on terminals. How do they just like ape market into a news, and boom, this sort of move happens and it retraces all the way back, and how they're like trading this sort of news. It's like cutting your own hand. It's like falling into a pit by yourself because like you're getting cooked by slippage, you're getting cooked by fees as well. And slippage is just crazy on news because like there's a lot of like bots just hitting the market. So you like miss out on your primal entry, and then you're just like eventually getting cooked. This is something that I think is like caused by FOMO mostly. I feel like people know that there's a rush of volatility or volume injecting into the market, and they sort of want this like best entry. I don't know why like people have this sort of FOMO from like this understanding that they have to like get the best entry. If they don't get the best entry, they won't be able to like trade whatever's next. I feel like you have to like formulate a strategy, and is what I did is like if I miss the sort of like initial nuke, I'll just hop onto like continuation. Whereas people have this like urge in themselves that they need to like hop onto the top or be right before anybody else. It's very emotional. I talked about this in the last stream as well. What do you think about this? Because this is very common amongst like PA traders, that they want to be right. They want to be like early onto a trade, just to prove they're right or they're better. So it's very, like it's very. I
Like
don't even know how to
ego.
phrase it.
It's like
Yeah.
ego focused. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying though. It even went with like the that Black Swan dump like 2 weeks ago, people both rushing to say, oh, this is the top of everything, or oh, this is the ultimate bottom, right? It's like, and now we're just chopping and we don't know whether it's the top or the bottom. So it's like, you know, why be so absolute when
When the
market can show you otherwise?
true. Let me just take a look at the chat as well. At this view, yeah, even for gold. Which Mosquito asked like which time frame you prefer, 3 minute, 5 minute regarding FVGs. I think like for FVGs, I think I explained this before in a call as well. FVGs are mostly just like imbalanced candles. You can like tweak around them for, let's just say there's just like a 5 minute FVG. If you go to like 1 minute, it's gonna be like a bunch of candles, and it's not gonna look like a proper FVG. But if you just like tweak around the time frames a bit, you're gonna find like this sort of like perfect FVG, which is why you should rather be focusing on this sort of like impulsive candle reactions, which just like gives you an impression of, okay, that if you tweak the time frames a bit, like these sort of three candles, let's just say each of these like 5 minutes, 5 minute, and 5 minute each, right? This is not gonna look like proper FVG on a 5 minute chart, but if you go to the 15 minute chart, it's gonna look like a very nice FVG. So you can like tweak around the time frames a bit, play with a bit. You'll be able to find a very nice FVG that's sitting right into PA. That is how I take a look at the FVG and the time frames to look for it. There's a question like, can you ask PAX to teach his dragon method? What's the dragon model?
Oh my God, who said that, bro?
There's a,
That's gotta be a troll. Hold
yeah,
on, who said
I have
that?
no idea what that is. There's a
No, I'm that's a troll. I met some guy at the spa who was bragging about his dragon
dragon model. That's
model, bro. It was like some random NPC at the spa on my
that's crazy.
travels. And then I looked at his TA and it was just like, oh my God, what is going on,
I
bro?
mean, damn, that's crazy. I need to
That's
yap
gotta
more.
be 5X.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
5X.
need to I need to yap about my toxic flow model to random traders in a spa.
Bro, never tell people you're in crypto in the spa ever again, or else you'll just get yapped at in the sauna while you're trying to
It's
clear
yeah,
your mind.
trading has become very common, you know? Like I think I was at the I don't know where I was. I was at a supermarket just like 2 days ago, and somebody was like talking about like how this guy teaches trading. Oh, he has a Discord community, and I was just trying to hear the name of who this guy was because I probably would know him. And it was like he's the best trader in the market right now, and he teaches you how to like risk manage this and that. There's no luck involved. And it was like a 30-year-old uncle that was just like yapping about like how his mentor is the goat. And I was like, dude, like I know like people are doing like mentoring and this and that, but I guess like you can definitely like not yap about them in public. It's why I never admit that I'm sort of a crypto trader in public anymore. I just tell them that I'm a extreme sports guy and I have no relation with finance.
I love that. I think that's the best thing to do until you know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I like to
Even
keep it
yeah, because
pretty
it's
soft as
yeah,
well.
because it's not like it's not hideable. It's you can't hide it basically. If you're like watching expensive watches, if you're like doing expensive stuff, cars and bikes, like people come up to you and they're like, "Where did you get this money? This and that." And sometimes I just tell them it's drug money, or it's just I'm like an athlete, and I just never mention like crypto because it becomes like very awkward. People don't have generally good look for crypto or trading, and you never tell the host that you're doing like trading. That gives them the
Never,
ick as
bro.
well. Just tell them you're an athlete if you look good, or just tell them that you have like some other money, maybe into finance and stuff, or you have a business.
Keep it simple at finance. Say you consult, say you're a gambler, say you do something cool. Don't say you are a crypto trader.
Just yeah,
100%.
just say you're an
And don't give your
investor.
girl your CT, bro. I learned that
Yeah.
lesson the hard way. I'm gonna keep that lore aside, but don't give your girl your CT. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you
Shout
don't.
out to Trizzy too.
Yeah, you don't want your nudes to be popping up here in comments. That would be
Oh
insane.
my God. That's great.
You tell them you trade gold futures.
Oh, I don't know.
Or
I
say
don't know
you're a
about that
crypto
one, bro.
streamer, that's even worse.
Yeah. Tell them you're a
Uh,
KOL.
oh yeah, KOL
Like a
is better,
slur at
yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
No, no, no. That's like a
No,
slur to
no,
me,
cause
bro.
if you're in like if you've ever gone to like crypto events, they just like random girls approach you asking if you're a KOL, and you just like say you are a KOL because like that's where the KOL is respected. Anywhere outside of crypto events, never admit that you're a
Yeah,
KOL. You're a
you do it.
professional trencher.
Yes. You're a high risk individual
Yeah,
who
if you
manages
want, yeah,
assets.
if you want some rich, just tell them whenever they like somebody asks you what you do, just tell them you do what it takes.
I do what I got to do to get the bag, bro. That's it.
That's helpful.
Hmm. What's your average time frame nowadays, bro? You used to be crazy M1 scalper, you swing as well. What would you say your average time frame is? What would you recommend to most people? And then I want to get into like RR as well. What's your average RR? What do you aim for? I've seen you hit some crazy trades in the past. Um, you know, 7 Rs,
The
whatever, but
average R that
things
I'm
come with
looking
that.
for, the average R I'm looking for these days is, I think it's like minimum 2 R. I've discussed it. Like, let's just say if I'm taking a trade right here and my stop loss is supposed to be like a higher low recently, I'm gonna go for like a minimum of like 1.5 R all the way to like 2 R, and anything after that is sort of an extension of a move. Like whatever happens around my TP or almost at my TP, I just like extend the move without like taking partials anymore. I think partials ruins the mind, and it's a very deep complex like subject to talk about because people mismanage positions a lot. They tend to close profitable trades very early on, just about break even, and they tend to close L trades all the way down to like a proper loss, like 1 R, which is something that pops up from like PTSD and trauma from like other prior trades. Generally, they have like a bad strategy and they just like keep on trading with that sort of strategy, and they're like, okay, I'm ending up with like many losses. Let's say price developing, and the moment it goes just a bit above their break even, they're like, boom, they take the profit, they take like sort of another trade, and like just settling down for like the bare minimum is what like gets them worse because they have a bad strategy in the first place. They tend to take like full L's and then close very early on into profits, and it's mostly I think it's mostly because people generally, first thing, they have a bad strategy. They don't understand what a proper strategy is and how to like do proper execution. Second, they're fading the trend. They're fading the trend almost all the time. These are the two main problems with these sort of guys, which is like they're fading the trend. They're like longing into a downtrend. They keep doing that again and again. And when price actually starts to reverse, they think, okay, it's gonna do the same thing again. And the sort of like trauma and PTSD just makes them close very early on into their like profitable trades, and that just like ends up leading a person into a very huge um sort of like a losing streak in my opinion. So that sort of stuff really takes a toll on people in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. I think, like you said, a lot of that comes from loss aversion, especially the closing early. There are people who are willing to run it to full stop, but then, they'll rush to take profits early just because they need a win or they can't, stomach it turning around on them and going back to break even. Do you ever take break even entries or do you run them to stop? How, like, are you discretionary and when you'll close on the downside or just the
Yeah,
upside,
so
like you said?
right. So my invalidation is very very common. If I get into a trade and let's say it pops up a bit, and let me just like draw this here. If it pops up a bit and I see there's like some highs holding and I'm fading a trend, or maybe the trend was right. It was like let's just say I'm taking a long trade and the trend was in my favor, but it just like started to like fade out, which is like very recognizable if you're looking at the PA. It's very recognizable to see that one sort of trend or bids are eventually just like fading out. Then what I do is like I pretty much go break even or risk free because I don't want to endure a total loss. If I see price going further below, why would I not take the loss like for the bare minimum than like a full one? So I just like try to manage my risk as long as the pivot is not invalidated. Let's just say the pivot is just below my entry and it's a higher low, and we did get managed to like hold the higher low. I'll continue on to holding the position unless and until that like pivot breaks, and I'm like, okay, this is going to go for the lower POI. Okay, I'm gonna just like exit the trade for like minus 0.2 R maybe instead of taking like a
Yep.
full 1 R loss.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar in that sense. I think it takes a bit of experience to build that discretion, right? And you're not always going to be correct. Sometimes it could still run down, here and then pump up, but it's built over time where you kind of can make those calls. I think it's good to systemize in a sense if you're a true beginner, 1 year in, even 1.5 to 2.
Yeah,
You probably haven't built up that experience where like it's, hey, I've seen PA, it's grinding, it's grinding, it's grinding. Next level's here. Like I want to get out. But you build that over time as well.
true, true.
And then I'm similar to you in a sense. I run a bit lower R system, like 1 to 1.5 max. I don't even run 2 Rs nowadays. I just depend on win rate and hit rate. But I
Yeah,
like
more
to risk
more
bigger on
like
one
on like
R and then
position
just leave
sizing.
leave a
This is
runner.
this is something that I talk about. There's comparison of like two sort of scalper traders. One is like going for like 2 hour minimum. One is going for like a 10 hour, and both of these guys risk is pretty much the same. This guy is risking like 1K. This guy is also risking like 1K. But his risk is like sorry, this guy is like risking 1K to make like 2K. This guy is risking it wants to make like 2K as well, but he's like risking $200 because this is more of a like a 10-hour trade or like 5 hour trade. You get my point. But now this guy, because his TP is all the way up here and he's looking to make 2K, what's happening is like his position size is so low that if price like gets up to the point of 2R and starts to reject, he has to like exit. Let's just say invalidation is here, he exits here. He's barely ending like closing out with any sort of profits because his TP was so further away that he never got like to be able to like manage his profits. Or maybe it did go all the way up, maybe he's like closing like half of the trade here, but his risk is so low compared to the guy that's trading here for like bare minimum R. This guy ends up being like just miserable at some point because his position size is low and his expectations are very high. So this guy sort of guy like really just like fades out eventually. So that's why I always have like traded a sort of like 2 hour setup. And
Yep.
whenever like it does like there's sort of like an initiation to a move for extension, and if you see that sort of PA just happen, you just like extend your TP to the next POI. That's how I like take my trades these days. And if I don't see that extension happening just before my TP, I just like fully TP right away.
I like it. So you're pretty discretionary, and
Yeah.
we're simple. I like to, bet bigger on just 1 to 1.5 are clear trades. I do leave runners personally, and I don't extend full positions. Um, I mean, sometimes maybe, but that's not generally how I run. I just like to, take my 1.5 and fuck off. Bet big where I'm comfortable and let it play out. I'm not one of these guys on the right who can run 8 hour trades and just risk, a small amount. But there's some validity to that. If you want a knife catch and you do think it is a big like RR
Yeah,
play,
it's
you
yeah,
you
you're
don't want to risk the full 1K. You
no,
just
you're
lower your
yeah,
risk
definitely.
and run higher RR. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's not,
yeah, definitely you're
not
right.
my
Like
majority of
this sort of
trades.
setup is like very discretionary as well. It depends like whatever sort of like setup you're getting. It's not like this sort of setup is the only holy grail that you want to take. You can divert to this as well based off of continuation models, in my opinion. Like let's say you have a very nice setup like cooking into like a long into some long PUI that's a higher low. You can just ape onto the trade with like 1K risk. You do ape onto that trade, you get like 2R, but you like miss out on the move. And there's like slow grind right here, and the invalidation is pretty tight. Now you don't want to be risking like 1K right away on a very tight stop, so you risk like $200, and you do see that sort of momentum, and eventually it does like sort of happening. This is the there's a question in the chat. Can you show continuation model? And the continuation model is pretty much this. You just like look for slow grinds, put your invalidation very close to where the trend could actually break down and mark out some like sort of high is where you want to put like your invalidation at, and you just like hold on to those trades when they start to grind up. And this sort of trades does work out, but this is not this should not be the main focus of your trading strategy. This should be the main focus, because not most of the time this is not going to work out only in volatile conditions. And as you can see from the market itself, it's like only trending like 30%, 20% of the time. The rest of the time it's just mega chopping. It's just giga chopping. It's doing pretty much nothing. Even right here, Eventually we're gonna look at this range and we're gonna consider this entire thing to be one big range that went on for like, I don't know, like 2000 bars. That's a long, very long time actually. If we come back to here, eventually one day, we're like a year or two later, we're gonna consider this to be one big range, and we're likely going to like break down or break out from this. So markets are pretty much just chopping. It's and they're ranging, so it's like this sort of setup is what you want to keep as your base, and this is the sort of setup that you want to adapt into when you do see volatility. There's another question. I'm having problem finding confluences on the chart. Do you think I need time? You need focus, brother. You need probably like a good sort of strategy to work on. If you're having problems finding confluences, you're probably looking at too much, or you're looking at the wrong stuff. You need to build up a strategy, in my opinion. Uh, Prices entering long POI. How would you how would you plan the trade, Shini? Somebody asked in the comment. Let me just like delete all of this right here. Remove. The long POI is like supposed to be here. PAX, would you be looking long here? Is this something that you would be interested in trading?
I personally don't have a trigger for a long there. I have a short a little bit lower, but I'm basically waiting for a run on like 116, 118-ish, or a bit lower for triggers. I'm personally not scalping this too hard, so I'll leave that to you.
Got it. I probably would try to enter long, but I know that FOMC is like in 4 hours. Maybe skip out on this long. What I was hoping for, that we do get the FOMC. I had no idea when FOMC was. I rarely look at news, just like 30 minutes before I take a look at them, to like unnecessarily avoid any losses caused due to unnecessary like scam wicks. That's the only reason I ever look at the news these days, because they don't matter to the chart, to the price. They matter if I was trading like Euro, USD, if I was trading like currencies or metals, then I guess sort of some sort of like bias would matter uh, through news. But for crypto, it does not really matter. So what I'm just generally looking at is like trying to avoid the scam mix caused by news volatility. And I was hoping like we get that sort of like scam wick right here, and then maybe just hop onto like a sort of grind right here and try to TP all the way here. What could happen is like we just chop here for another 3-4 hours till FOMC comes, and then eventually boom, wick, and then that sort of like could give us direction to either side. It could be a long or it could be a short here as well. Generally, this I would consider this to be like the premium, so shorts would be better. For a rule of thumb, you can just like mark out like the 0.5 of a range and just mark out like premium and discount. That way you're able to understand where there could be more sellers than buyers, and just try to not fumble longing into a short POI. Any questions guys have in the chat? Let me see. Yeah, if you want to like really start off, you can start off with like a few things. You can start with like price action, FVGs, order blocks, how does the trend work, what are like continuation setups, or are like slow grinds. You can go to my YouTube channel. Then if you want to have a more understanding of like ranges, go to like auction market theory, learn about like volume profile like here, learn about like VWAPs, and then get into like order flow. But before all that, you have a lot of like journey to cover. Uh, what do you think about XAU gold lower time frame? Gold. There's a bunch of guys talking about gold. Let's just take a look at gold.
What do you think about a high time frame too, if you have any opinions on it?
I sold all of my gold around here, like 4,200, and now I'm just like letting it develop. What I believe it to be, I think, because I know there's I saw it on CT actually. There was a long line of people just
Yeah.
waiting in a line to buy physical gold, and I was like, okay, that's a top. I'm
Top
done.
signal.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm done with gold. No more gold anymore.
We talked about that on
So
a Monad stream
yeah,
last week too,
yes,
around 4,400. It's just
yeah.
like, also it's like we're at like a 2 or 3 standard deviation
S-
of the VWAP,
See,
and then everybody on CT is moving over to trade gold, and we
yes,
have people lining up. It's like, bro, I don't want anything to do with this, or
yeah.
at least I'm open to clearing
Looking,
exposure and
yeah.
hedging.
Taking a look at that line around like those gold stores. I'm like, I have nothing to do with gold anymore. I'm a silver maxi now, and what I expect for being gold is to probably like chops around here. I don't think it'll goes into like 5K. We're gonna have the 5K waiting room just like
Yep.
Ethereum, and everybody's gonna be waiting in that like 5K waiting room, and we're likely going to just like range and deviate in a wider bracket range, something that looks generally like this. Because this is how like a range folds. Probably this sort of PA. We're likely to execute this sort of PA around here. So if you are holding on to gold, I personally have sold my gold around like 4.2K. Uh, about you guys, I guess you can try to like play it out till 4.6K if your entries are here. You know where I bought gold? I bought gold around November. Let me just like mark it out. November 2021, I think. Where's 2021?
That was like 1600s,
Yeah,
wasn't
I
it?
bought around like November 2021. You know why I bought gold? If you go to the Bitcoin chart and you'll take a look at where November 2021 PA is, and that's pretty much the Pico bottom right here. Oh, sorry. I think it was November 2022. Sorry, it was November 2022. Right around here is when I remember price was like pretty much doing nothing for weeks and weeks. I remember this was like what, like $30 range, like maximum the amount of like action we would get was like $200 a day, and prices just like died out after like FTX. Everybody had like died out. Nobody had any more hopes. Everybody was like just quitting crypto at that time. It was like this here, peak like depression right here. And I was like, okay, I was thinking of cashing out of crypto, because like there were some indications of USDT falling down. And since I was like a scalper, I was like, okay, if USDT is gonna fall down, then I'm gonna lose pretty much all of my funds. What can I do to like save keep my funds? So what I did was like I just went out, like cashed out USDT, and November 2022 I just like went on and bought like pretty much e- everything I had with USDT for gold, and that just like went on for crazy. So I just like sold that right here, and that was probably one of my like better trades ever. Like 150% move on like actual cash. I guess that's like a pretty cool trade. And now I'm just like hoping for it to develop like this, so I can buy more around like 3Ks and below. That'd be awesome.
I'm pretty similarly biased on that end. Maybe one more high, but overall, when people are lining up and it's CT is moving over to trade it
Yeah, yeah. When
and
there's
saying it's free longs,
yeah,
etc. All right, bro,
yeah.
nice.
I
Um,
do remember there was a lot of whenever people are vocal about something, it just like dies out. There's a collective jinx that happens, and that just ruins the momentum of pretty much every trend and the markets. It's like envy, like when people think that everything is going too good. It's like it's with life as well. Like I was thinking my life is going so good. I'm doing great with trading, with great with life, with great with like everybody, and then eventually like it's sort of like envy or the natural cycle of things. It just like dies out. Something bad happens, and that's the top. And eventually there's a long period of retracement, then eventually things get back on, and that's how like things work. It's just like a natural cycle that tends
all
to happen.
Yeah, I mean, all good things come to an end, bro. And markets and life rebalance one way or another. The ups and downs. Zoom out a little more, and you'll see Bitcoin's up for 3 to 4 years,
Yeah,
up
that's
only
true. That's
ever. And
true.
now it's like, now apparently it's super free to
Yeah,
long
I
Bitcoin.
remember.
It's like,
Yeah,
where
we.
was everybody at 30K, 40K, 50K,
Yeah,
60K when we were trading it? But now it's like the freest,
everybody's here. Everybody
good
like
thing.
yeah. And the problem that I have with these markets, like people who just keep longing, who are actual retards in like bear markets like this or chops like this, actual retards, right? they get to have the most amount of attentions because all they do is like just bull post like crazy, and like people think, okay, they're like goaded, everything is like going up and they must be the best trader alive, and they just like spam PNLs for like bull posts, and they attain like followers from like 10K to 100K. They suddenly have like all these like brands and firms approaching them. They're paying them a lot of money, and the moment like sort of like shit happens and strokes them, then they're like into deep shit. They cannot trade like chop, they cannot trade like retracements, and they're pretty much like dead from the market.
Yep.
Depression era, in depression era right here, I think it was before here when we had the PA Kings Discord. You want to talk
Uh-huh.
something about like the old PA Kings? I think it was around here. I remember it. This
It
entire move
was,
down,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember we all were looking like yearly open, I think
Oh,
was
100
somewhere
yeah,
around
I
40
remember. It
K
was
or
it was like the
something
Christmas, and
crazy.
I think all of us were looking at this price section,
Yep.
if I remember correctly, and I remember it to this dot. Fuck, it was Anshay, and it was like few more people that were like, okay, we have like formed this sort of like SFP. I think it's like the top into December, into Christmas, and I remember very clearly a lot of us like took the short, and that just was in fact the top all the way down to like the to like 15K move. That was like a very goated Discord back in the day of like actual people looking to learn. If you're able to formulate a sort of friendship when you're in your learning curve like that, you're gonna be like guaranteed successful. You're gonna be doing very good later on. If you just develop your
Yeah.
basics very well, you're gonna be doing very well.
Find a small group who you can learn with who are actually driven and have shared goals. Don't do it fully alone. Trading is a solo game and you're gonna learn your own style, but people to learn with is such a key. That's how we both have come up in a sense. And then yeah, how did I have some public tweets about, longing right here too, I believe. But how did you trade this kind of bear market
Yeah, that's
PA and how did you play the sentiment around here?
yeah.
I
Well,
think SBF's lick was
right
just
around
right
this
here.
candle. Yeah, this candle right
Yeah,
here.
I
Yeah.
basically went like all in on chain on that. But
Mm.
I literally was like I might lose all my money at this point, but
Yeah.
we'll
You know
see.
what I was doing? You know what I was doing when SBF got liquidated? I was not in FTX. I did lose some money, but that was not my portfolio. I was mainly in Binance still, and I was doing pretty well. And I was like, the only reason I cashed out was like there was some indication, and there was like indication every fucking few like 4 months. There was like, okay, USDT is gonna depeg, USDT is gonna die, and I was like, what? And every time that sort of like news came out, I was like, okay, I'm trading like solely based off of USDT. I'm not trading like because it's a down market. I'm not trading like collateral with BTC or Ethereum. If USDT goes down, I'm pretty much cooked all the way to zero. So what I would do is like I would like take out cash, and by the time here when FTX collapsed, everybody was talking like UST collapse. So USDT is gonna collapse as well. So is USDC. So I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like cash out pretty much everything, and this is where I was playing like CS:GO most of the time. I'm not even gonna lie. I was playing like CS:GO, and I remember the Discord were like very shiny, and I was just playing like games all the time because there was pretty much nothing to do. No altcoin was moving, no BTC was moving. It's like when BTC chopping, there's likely some altcoin that's popping off, but that's not the case here. Nothing was moving at all. It's like the market was dead, completely dead. Like everybody was like depressed, but I was playing like games around this time, and suddenly out of nowhere, we like had this like pump, and I was like, okay, we're starting to move back up, and this is where I got like back into like trading again. And I think I just like mainly took these days off. We were playing like Among Us, CS:GO in the Discord, like a trading Discord. We were just playing games because there was nothing going on.
Yeah, that's bear market activities, bro.
Yeah,
I think me and Trizzy were still scalping this, or me and a few people were still
I
scalping like
remember.
a
Yeah,
$600 range, and I'm just like, why are we even doing this? That's actually I think when I moved a bit to Forex as well, because it's like you were gaming, there's no point to, but I bought a spot down there, and then yeah, once we got the move though, we're like,
but I
okay,
was
we can get
pretty.
some action,
Yeah,
we
the
can play
only the only
this.
thing that I'm glad about, I was pretty vocal about that this being the bottom after this move, I was like, okay, now that we've gotten the push through, I feel like has formed like a long accumulation, and the only direction we're gonna see up, you see, is like up from here. And that was like a pretty good call. I still remember. I have it posted pretty much everywhere. Walked to the
Yeah,
end said if you had reds on CS, they had like 4x in value. CS markets are getting very really cooked like the Counter Strike right now. Somebody told me in the chat that they're down a lot of money in like Counter Strike skins at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on with them. I did not.
yeah, I actually sold the top, but yeah, they fucked the market somehow. They made knives not valuable. They diluted them. They're
Oh,
easier to trade too.
crazy.
But again, that it goes back to like all good things come to an end, right? People used to think CS:GO skins like up only forever.
Yeah,
Takes one update and then it's cooked. Pokemon cards, I don't know if you know about that,
yeah, I
but
do. I have a
they're
bunch
up only
myself.
forever.
I
Yeah.
have Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well. I have a lot of like different niched interests.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I just met with some people who had some pretty big Pokemon portfolios. One's a dealer, and they're
Yeah,
talking about how it's
yeah,
just free money
yeah,
only, and it's
and
just brings skepticism.
yeah,
It's
and
like, how is this going to
you,
perform in
I,
a tough environment, right? It's like,
I can definitely tell you where you met these like weird nerdy guys. Probably the crypto events, right? I myself met like a guy that looked like Mr. Bean, and he tried selling me like Pokemon cards as well. And then I met this very autistic guy. He tried like selling me very niched watches, and you're gonna meet like a lot of these like autistic yeah the boo-boos. You're gonna find all of these sort of like nerdy, niched interest guys in like a crypto event if you ever go to any. I only went to like crypto events like I think for like a month to experience what it was like, and I have never gone back to them again. It's a good place to hang out, but if you have friends, but if you don't have friends, you're gonna find a lot of like weird peoples. If you remember,
yeah, you definitely need to squat up for those,
yeah,
or else, yeah,
yeah, you're gonna be
chatting with random crypto
yeah,
bros is not the vibe, bro.
yeah, you're gonna be approached by guys looking at like Mr. Bean with a big mustache.
And then yeah, if you have, I don't know if you look at the yearly charts, what's the highest time frame you look at? But like the
The
yearly
weekly,
on that,
I don't even,
okay,
I don't think I even open the daily or the 4 hour chart unless it's for a stream to explain to people. I don't go higher than like the hourly chart tops.
interesting. That's really interesting because actually the lowest time frame I have on mine is the hourly, so we're a bit different.
That's crazy.
I don't have anything below the hourly. It made my mind just a lot easier. I don't like to,
For the higher time frame or
sometimes I'll drop
the
down for
lower time frame
degening, but
execution.
what was that?
Uh, okay, so you swing trade just based off of the higher time frame chart. Got it.
Yeah, like weekly,
Labubu's
daily
man,
down to
that's
H1
I have a
execution.
crazy story. A very known person like offered me to buy a Labubu. Like he offered me to buy a Labubu for me, and this guy is like the CEO of MCF, and he was like buying his girlfriend like a Labubu, and it was like I think it was just when Labubus came out. It was like a day or two later, and they were like suddenly in like the buy mall, and he was like, okay, can I should I get you a Labubu? I had no idea they were like going up in price and they were so popular until a week or two later, and they were all over social media and shit. It's just like random trends that just like catch on, and yeah, it's a crazy
Yeah.
world we live in.
No, crazy world, everything bubble. Embrace it until it ends, I guess. That's apparently the move. It's funny you say that. I walked by a Labubu store like two days ago here where I am, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" I think one of my
Yeah,
sisters likes it, but
perform,
what is the appeal here? I don't get it,
yeah,
but apparently they go up and they're
yeah,
rare.
yeah, performative male activities. I should have taken that free Labubu. Yeah, that would have
Bro,
went up
yeah,
in
that was a free
value.
gift
Yeah.
for
And I was
yeah.
like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this like fluffy toy? And then I now realize what I was gonna do with it. Get some hoes with him. Cause it apparently becomes like a popular trend within ladies first, and then eventually like people are gambling on it. That's how like generally trends go. Women like it, and then men are gambling on it.
All attention, right?
Yeah,
Attention, and then how can you make money off of that attention?
true.
That goes with meme coins, Labubu, Pokemon, anything, I guess.
No wonder you don't know how to talk to girls, Mosquito said. I definitely do not know how to talk to girls, you're right. Cause I'm a crypto streamer. That's something that I would never admit to a girl. For BDC, I think we could probably get a nice long somewhere around here. Probably get a slow grind setup right here, but it's just not what I am looking to ape in. If the trade I would be looking to trade would be just get into the long right here and exit just like an hour or 30 minutes before FMC and just like let FMC play out somehow. Yeah, it's like this 1 minute chop is like back in the day that like that bottom range right there. This was like a daily chop. Every single day it was just like this PA. It was nothing else. It was just like for the entire day this is all that went on, like $200 $300 move.
Literally like 1% max was the average daily range. It was really rough. You
Even
picked a
even
good
one
time to play
yeah even
CS.
even 1%, I think we were stretching it. Like 1% is still like $1,000 move. It was like pretty much like just this sort of move, and randomly we would get like scam wicks to liquidate people out, and then we would just like start chopping again for like days. Let's just take a look at what everybody's taking a trade on. uh Everybody's looking at pretty much the same thing, just looking for momentum to kick in and then take the trade on, I guess. Yeah. Does anybody have questions in the chat? Walk to the end said, could you have plotted a volume profile and scalping the chop? I'd rather not scalp the shop. I tried scalping the shop. I was like trying to take a show right here. And it did when it profit. It almost like hit my TP. My TP was like somewhere around here. But then eventually just like retraced up in the next 30 seconds. And then I had to like exit out for like minus 0.2R. Mike said, do you have ballpark BDC price for peak bear? Is that some? Because you look at higher time frame packs, you have a ballpark peak bear prices.
I really think there's no point to guess that, but I'm just going level by level, right? But 92, 90Ks is a good first start. That being said, if we reclaim like our old, you can zoom out a little bit more. I could draw it, but if we reclaim like that old macro range, it's probably a macro value area as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, real soon. Yeah, I have a flu. I don't know how I got the flu. It's just seasons changing probably.
Pull up BTC. This is gold.
Yeah, this is gold. Like somebody asked, like, can you give
Oh,
me
he
a
was.
lower time frame XAUSD inside real quick? So far, looking pretty cooked. I guess it's just trending down. Probably look for a retrace to this PI right here. If we tend to like retrace right here, and eventually, to me this is likely to end up as range. We are likely going to fill out this FVG or like this gap right here, take out these highs somewhere around here, and till then it's just like you look for retraces, you look for possible long, and if it does start to break down, don't mind it, just play along with it. Selena asked, what do you actually base your POIs on? Like, are you marking order blocks, FPG, or what exactly? There's a few things that I look for when I'm marking out like my POIs. There's like FVG as well that needs to overlap. And what it does need to overlap is like an order block 0.5. Then I am looking for like bid or ask imbalances as well. And I'm looking for like a possible POC as well. And one more thing I'm looking for is an extreme. This is the stuff that I'm looking for whenever I'm marking out a POI. And usually, since I understand how it goes, so I just like to boom, like mark a line out. But this is what's going on in the background whenever I'm trying to like take a POI. Do you have PAX? Do you have like broken down levels like this, or you just like trade? Do you trade ICT, or do you take just like normal price action?
Oh, I guess I see it comes from ICT in a sense, just imbalances in liquidity though. It's all the same that you wrote, but just imbalances in liquidity. I'm not like I don't even use order blocks. Personally, I don't use any of those crazy terminologies. They've come up with like 100 of them nowadays. But I did learn ICT
What do
concepts.
you
I
what do
guess
you
that's the
what do
base
you
of it.
think? Yeah, what do you think
But
about
just
this
FEGs
guy's?
and liquidity.
What do you think about this guy with the CRT thing? Like, I don't know what it is. Like the turtle soup. I'm not sure what the CRT is, but it's sort of like a fade pattern. He thinks himself to be the best trader. Have you seen the
Yeah,
guy Romeo?
I've definitely seen that. It's just repackaged of what we trade ourselves, bro. Like we look for a sweep and then play a reversal. He just branded it really well. Um, that's like a cult. That's
Can
like a
yeah can
cult in
yeah can
itself.
you imagine that guy comes up to you in a random
Um,
spa and then tells you, "Do you know I trade CRT candle range theory?"
no,
You
get the
just
fuck out of here. Yeah.
yeah you can
And now there's just so many different repackaged terminologies that, I like to keep it simple. Imbalances, they represent a lot both in like on the chart, but also in market microstructure, right? Single prints, ask bid imbalances,
yeah.
um,
It feels like
origins of a
to
large
me
move.
to
So
me
it has
yeah, to
crossovers.
me it feels like trading has become more personalized. Even I am a victim of this. Like even I consider my strategy to be like toxic flow, but it's pretty much like everything that's already been on the market for years and years, maybe like decades, right? Order flow has been there, price action has been there for decades and decades, and it's just like become more personalized. I call it toxic flow, somebody else calls it CRT. Just taking out these setups and then like calling them by their own name, maybe because of like branding, probably because like people want to be known. If you are a good trader and if you do trade good, you should be known in the community so that people get to know about you and people get to not fall for those sort of larps that are they don't even know trading. I guess that's a good way of like representing yourself. As long as you don't have this god complex to yourself that you're pretty much the best, I think I'm fine with it. As long as you're not like a crazy narcissist, it's like good to have some sort of like personality to your trading.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Just don't be a cunt about it. But no, like toxic flow, a lot of people know you for that. You've branded quote unquote, but you've done that well. It creates some aura around it too, and
Just
people like
aura
to
farming.
identify with a certain yeah, I love it. People like to identify with certain styles, certain groups, stuff like that.
True.
So,
It's
you
like
know,
yeah, it's like niche communities. Like if you ever get into fashion, there's like niche communities like Chrome Hearts. If you ever get into like musicians, like there's niche communities like PRS guitars, this and that. Definitely every sort of like field of interest. There's usually a niche, and that niche is somewhat like related to some personality, and that personality is the sort of person that has like promoted that niche in some interesting way that like provoked more people than it would have had like generally. So I guess it's fine to like personalize and brand, make yourself a brand, because like you definitely deserve that sort of attention because you have gained that sort of attention, in my opinion. Mike said unless you act like ICT dude, it's fine. Yeah, like I said,
him
like
blocking me on Twitter was the best day of my life, bro. My feed got way better after that.
1,000 different words for SFE move. True. Uh, there's this guy. I've been experimenting with version point of controls, plotting them around 1 minute and 5 minute consolidation zones to trade rejections off of them. What are your thoughts on alpha zone NPOCs? I've talked about this before. NPOCs are like a very cool level. I have a template for NPOCs right here. And what NPOCs are basically doing, they're basically the pivot with the most volume that is like untapped. They're pretty much called naked point of controls, and the reason for that is like they're not tapped, and the moment they get tapped is because they're so effective is That POC is like the point of control, and the point of control means that that's a point where the most volume has been injected in that day or week or month or that range. And whenever price comes to the level, that means volume is what buys and plus sells. That means there's a lot of like buyers sitting around that level. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna buy again to pump prices up to not go in an L, to like keep prices afloat above their entry break even. And for the sellers, sellers recognize, for those who aren't liquidated, they recognize they're wrong, and the moment price comes up down here, they realize, okay, they need to get out of their sell positions. And whenever you give back to the market as sell position, a market buys back. So that becomes up like as two uh, reasons for the price being so reactive around a POC. And especially if it's a naked POC, that means the orders are just sitting and waiting to be executed. Yeah. PAX, do you have any like words to say to the people? Because we've been doing this session for almost like 2 hours. Like I told you it's gonna be like 1 hour, but we're always doing it for like 2 hours. Good, very good talk. Any parting words that you want to discuss? Any like setup that you're looking for, and then we can like wrap up the session here. Let me just delete this stuff right here. Uh,
Oh, just zoom out to the daily. Maybe I can just give my quick plan,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I gave it earlier. Other than that, I post them in Arrow. I don't really post on Twitter too much nowadays. It's just a lot of noise. Um,
Yeah,
but no,
everybody who's been posting on Twitter for years and years just like says that. Even I like I don't generally post so much. I post more in my community as well, Discord community as well, because I just find it to be like I want to post like more around like-minded people. There's more trolls on Twitter. I guess they were before as well, but people would respect the sort of like educational content and privacy in the first place. I guess that's something rare, but it's like what you get with
yeah,
time.
it's just more, yeah, it's just more noise than it's worth. But
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying this as a range, kind of like you. We deviated it, value lows down here. If you want to play it. That being said, we have this imbalance. I would need that to flip, and then it's clear plays. I don't know how you play with these wicks, bro, but like, Coinbase wick was a bit higher and it swept.
yeah,
This is a really ugly bottom structure that it hasn't swept. So, my bias, I think I know you and a couple people with your style are looking for bounces here. But I have a short trigger that's basically like this down to here. At least to the value lows at minimum. And then if we break down like 105, 104K, it goes back to the old range. But this is kind of how I see it. Deviation, deviation, easy slaps. Those more swing trade ideas. And then on the long side, if we break above here, kind of the opposite of your short trigger, it's basically like if we consolidate heavily and then start to push up here, we have all these daily highs grinded. I think
yeah.
I'm basically just gonna market buy like right here, like 118, 119, 120 after consolidation.
That's pretty cool.
Target this. I'm not sold on this being a full top, but I'm open to it. I don't think there's any point in truly calling tops, but I am kind of biased for that deviation in a sense. Market ranges most of the time, and see a lot of euphoria. Everybody free longs, etc. I'd personally like one exhaust push up position here with like a really wide stop, like 150K, 160K short, and target down here if we get that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna play the levels like I said. Long side up here, easy to me after it breaks above. Um,
Yeah, and I got a
if we
similar
flip this
plan. Yeah.
imbalance, I would look at, value lows and then maybe a continuation based on the PA
Yeah,
down
me
to
personally,
here.
I would try to like enter on the breakdown of this sort of like POI that I have. So the two triggers that I have is either we grind up into this value right here, or we pretty much like grind down into this value. So just like this to me is like a value developing, and anything above is like value already formed, and we're just gonna be rotating for like within these ranges for like weeks. So everybody who's like watching this PA and the next streams that we're gonna do, we're gonna be pretty much still here, guys. Don't expect like we're gonna be here or here. We're pretty much just gonna giga chop for the next few weeks. For the
And
for E to gazillions, we're gonna be waiting for like 5K for much further longer.
5K waiting room's getting a little old. And then real quick, bro, what do you make of it? So ETH has left and Bitcoin too. Like on, I don't know which broker this is, but we've got equal ugly lows here. But if you go to like Binance Perps, it swept these lows. Do you ever mind that? I trade like liquidity and swing points, so it's really relevant to me. Um, the wicks being mismatched, it swept it on some exchanges, but not others. That kind of affects my
Yeah,
trading a
that
bit.
like
Um,
does do you think that like it's going to fill the wick? Is that something if it doesn't mismatch, like if it doesn't match, is it something that you look for in case it's going to go and pretty much sweep it? If a wick does mismatch, I tend it to believe that it's likely going to get filled eventually later on. Because
yeah,
that's like a lot of orders mismatching in the market as well, a lot of displacement in orders. Some orders got filled on some other exchanges, which is like unfair to a mature market. So it's likely we fill
yep.
the wick.
Pretty similar. I look for those to rebalance at some point or another. It kind of goes back to the CME gaps. It's not going to happen the next day, but it's something to keep in mind. Like this is really interesting to me. It swept it on some perps, but it hasn't on others.
Yeah, if there's
Bitcoin's pretty
to me
similar.
to me the way I see it is like some exchange got its better orders, some didn't. So that's like an unfair, more of a sort of an arbitrage amongst the markets. So that just like eventually gets cleared out if you are in a mature market. If it was like some random altcoin, I wouldn't make too much sense of it, and I would hope like it goes all the way up. But since it's like a mature coin, very big market cap, it's likely that we sweep the wick later on.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to imbalances, right? It's like just market efficiency. It's
Yeah.
the same concept, same concept. Um, so we'll be interested. We'll check back if that ever hits. But yeah, those are some things I look for to sync up. I think the only time it really didn't in a super long time frame was 28K Bitcoin. That being said, it did eventually, but it left lows on like Bybit and Binance 3 years ago, ran up to 60K. But eventually it comes down. But it's never gonna happen the next day. You
Yeah.
don't want to assume that, but it's good confluence for
Yeah.
sure.
Got it. I have a very similar plan, and thank you so much for joining PAX. It was great talking to you, great having you over as well. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream as well. It's been going on for like 2 hours almost. That's crazy. I need to go get some water myself, and I appreciate everybody that's joined so far. If you have any more questions, you can like always DM PAX or me on Twitter, and we'll definitely make sure to answer. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you PAX for joining as well. I'll see everybody later on. Goodbye and take care.